Hello and welcome to another night of crafting with Sasha. I have got some fun for you tonight. It's about using up your glitter. If you've got some clear glitter, and we're going to use up our designer paper pads again. I have been shopping far too much. I've been super addicted to buying these paper pads from the paper boutique on Craftstash, and I have found another way that we can use them up and make them absolutely stunning and kind of bulk card make again. So this is the pad I'm going to focus on tonight for the majority of the cards. I'm going to start with some sort of very simple cards, and then I'm going to step it up a little bit more and show you how you can package it up into a gift. So this is kind of what I did last Saturday. I did sort of a 3-step process and everyone seemed to really love it. So I thought, let's do it again. And we're going to focus on using up paper pads because we all have far too many in our stash. I know every one of you has at least one, if not 500. So we're going to use them up. So you can use dies, or you can use what you've got in your paper pads. You could do squares to make it simple, rectangles to make it simple. I'm going to kind of share with you how you go about it. Just going through what I'm using tonight so you can see what it looks like. I've got this other paper pad here, which is from a different collection from the paper boutique, but the colors match most of the colors in this paper pad, so it works really, really nicely. I'll do my best to link everything I share with you in the description box down below. So if you want to check it out for yourself, or you could use some of this in your collection, then the link will be there for you to have a look at. But by all means, use what you've got, because that's always best, isn't it? These kind of videos are there for you to kind of have a think about what you've got in your stash and make the most of it. So my other paper pad that I've got is this new release. I couldn't resist because it was butterflies and these gorgeous colors, so I bought the collection. Smack me. It's so bad. Anyways, so we got all these papers and I'm using this glitter. This glitter is around 1 to 2 pounds. It was on clearance from Craft Label when I bought it. It was about £1.50 and it is clear glitter, so it's like a crystal glitter. I'm also using adhesive sheets today. This is quite essential. Any double-sided tape will work, but the adhesive sheets are nice because you can get a nice even layer. So getting started, I am cutting down my paper pad, and all I'm doing is I kind of work out my measurements as I go, and what I sort of wanted was my standard card base, which is this here. I'm just going to take an A4 sheet, cut it in half, fold it in half, and all I want to do is get about 2 centimeters in on each end, I think is what I went for. I just went for a rough guide. Oh, I did a square first, I apologize. So I did a square for the butterflies, and I just kind of eyeballed what looked best, and I didn't like how small this was. I'm going to put a layer behind it to make it a little bit bigger, but I thought let's go a little bit wider. I'll put my measurements, well, I'll do my best to put the measurements in the description box below for you. So if you want to see exactly what I did, it should be down there. I'm a little bit chock-a-block busy today, and it is Saturday night right now. I'm rushing again to get my video live for you. Got my glass of wine next to me. I am having a great time already. So I'm going ahead and cutting a matting layer to go behind this. Now this is only about 3 centimeters smaller. So I've cut my little square and I'm doing 3 centimeters smaller than that square. If I did inches, it's then 1/4 of an inch, not 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. I'm doing 2 layers behind each panel. So I want to have kind of a darker, bold color and a lighter color. And the paper pad's great because it has all the colors that coordinate for you. Now here's the one where I'm doing the rectangle panel for the front. And this is where I went down by 2 centimeters, I believe, on all sides of my card base. So I can have a nice rectangle right in the middle. I kind of wanted to stand out a bit more. So again, I am going about 3 centimeters or 1/8 of an inch smaller, or bigger, I apologize, bigger than that front panel. So the star of the show is the designer paper. We want that to be the focal point of the card, and we want people's eye to be drawn into it. So we're going to kind of layer it up. If you've got paper or cardstock and you're very precious about it, you could obviously die cut some images out the middles of these, because we're not going to use the middles of these. I'm lazy, so I'm just layering them as is. But by all means, make the most of your paper and cardstock, and you can cut out some images out of those background bits there. So I've gone ahead and I've cut my adhesive sheet to the exactly the same size as the decorative paper. And what you're going to do is peel back one of the edges. So you've got your sticky exposed adhesive there on the one end, and you've got your release paper on the rest of it. You're going to line up the release paper release paper side of that square and get those edges all lined up, because if you get the bottom edge and the left and the right side lined up with the release sheet, then you know the exposed end will be lined up as well, because we've cut it exactly the same. So I'm going to line it up, pinch it down with my fingers. Then I am going to push down that other end. So the release paper that's folded over keeps that adhesive from sticking to our paper before we're ready. Then we can just gradually slide that release sheet out and rub our fingers along as we go, and that keeps all the air pockets out. This is what I do in my picture framing job when we have to adhere really expensive artwork or posters that have been damaged or too curly, and we adhere them down to boards so that we can frame them nicely. This is what we do with them. We start with just a small edge and we gradually work our way across. So make sure when you're doing this process, it is not going underneath, it is going on top. So you're going to adhere your sticky back tape to the top of your decorative paper, not underneath it. So normally you'd put it underneath so you can stick it down on a piece of paper. We are going on the top. So again, line up those edges and then just squish down that one edge that's exposed and gradually pull out the release sheet and run your finger along. That avoids the air bubbles and air pockets, and you get this beautiful, nice, smooth sticky back on the top of your paper. Now I've just got a piece of copy paper. This just happens to be a cream piece of copy paper. I'm going to remove that release sheet from the top, and you'll see that you can see the image perfectly fine straight through, but now that is completely sticky. Now this is a trick that you've probably already seen a million times over. It's nothing new, but I've not actually done this technique either forever or ever at all. My glitter is really awesome. It's got this teeny tiny hole in the top, so I can just sprinkle out a very small amount. And all you're going to do is put a very small amount on, gently rub it all over so that you spread it out, and then you're going to firmly rub it with your fingers. So you're going to give it a really good rub and press with your fingers, and that will make all the glitter stick right into that adhesive. And then you can take the rest of your glitter and pour it back into your bottle. And I mean, your glitter will last you forever. It just doesn't seem to die. So again, I'm going to sprinkle the glitter on. I'm going to shove it around with my fingers and make sure I get it in all the spaces so I don't get my fingers stuck to the adhesive. And then I'm going to firmly press it in. Now, I did try several times with my bone folder because my fingers were getting a bit exfoliated by all the glitter. And I just found I did not get the same result. I felt like I got a bit more of a cloudy looking glittered top, whereas when you rub it with your fingers, it kind of seems to press into it a bit better because I'm going in circular motion. It's kind of grinding that glitter into the adhesive. And I just felt like I got a really beautiful clear glitter result rather than a cloudy glitter result. So all I'm doing here is adhering it onto my first layer. The only reason why I use tape on it is because this is really quite thin. It's more paper than cardstock, and I find that when I use my liquid glue on that top layer, it kind of warps it a bit. So I wanted to make sure the top layer was stuck down with tape, but I find it easiest to use liquid glue to get it right nice in the middle. So I've gone ahead and made those panels up. I've got my glitter stuck down to my background. Really easy technique to do. It's really not difficult. It does get a bit of glitter everywhere, but it's easily wiped off. A microfiber cloth kind of absorbs it quite nicely. Now this paper pad was quite cool because it came with lots of different kind of very detailed accessory bits, so you can make bunting out of it. You could cut out the words and use the words. So I went ahead and cut out some of the words from one of the sheets. You can make a little envelope. You got the little cards to go in the envelope. You could make some bows, some note cards. I don't know, it was a really cool notepad. I had no idea. So I went ahead and cut out one of the bows as well, and I assembled the bow off screen, not to bore you. But basically, whatever you've got in your stash, if you've got a bow, a flower, some kind of little 3D element would look quite nice probably on it. So I went ahead, made the bow ready to go on the card. And then I decided that my words kind of looked a bit lost. So I sort of placed them on my card and felt like they kind of look a little bit lost in this card. Now, bear in mind, these are simple cards. These first two are quite simple, quite easy, so that you can do some quick card making if you've not got much time, or you're not very confident. Then just do these nice simple cards. They're a nice easy way to make a beautiful stunning card that's handmade in not a heck of a lot of time. So I went ahead and measured those little words that I had and then cut my piece of holographic card just a tiny bit bigger. Now I'll link this holographic card down below. I bought this on eBay and this seller was really lovely. It's a really small business and they had excellent prices. So I've got a whole big stash of this holographic card now. I'll link it down below for you. I'm just going to go ahead and pop up the words now. I went ahead and off screen kind of stuck them down to that holographic card and then just trimmed them with my scissors. And I felt like that kind of brought the card together. The nice thing about holographic card is that it kind of takes on the color of whatever's around it. So it blends into whatever color card you got. So here's the first card all finished with our beautiful glittery paper. Now that glitter paper is not at all sticky because all that glitter stuck down to it and it is gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. I decided on this one we'd stamp directly onto the card to keep it nice and simple, nice and easy, nice and quick. So I'm going ahead, I found a pink ink that kind of matched that background cardstock, and then I decided to add some gems on there to kind of add a little bit more sparkle because you can never have too much, and that finishes off the second one. So there's our first two cards, nice, quick, easy cards, and just taking square shapes, rectangle, nice and simple. Now if you've got cards or paper like this where it comes with elements, you can pop them out, but make sure you trim off those little knobby bits from where it was stuck into the cardstock. So I went ahead and pulled those out. I cut out the words as well, which I don't actually use in the end. But I wanted to share with you how you can kind of step it up a little bit. So I've got these nestable circle dies. They are my favorite. There's a heck of a lot of them in there, and they're really great price points. So I've used these a million times over, and I use them almost every video. Now, I'm just sharing with you that I did not have a die in that set that fit that circle. So this is how we're going to get around it. These are two ways that you can still get that adhesive on there, but have a different shape. So first, I went ahead and cut exactly the square for that square one. This one, I cut a square that would fit that circle that I want to cut out. So I'm going to die cut out that circle, the die cut circle, out of the adhesive. So this is just the adhesive. There's nothing stuck to it. My double-sided adhesive. I'm going to take the same die and put it on that circle and cut it out. So now I have two identical sizes. So you can see there, that's the scrap that I've got left over. And now those are identical circles. So now what we're going to do is for this one, we're going to take the adhesive sheet and we're going to lie it straight on top. It is a bit tricky to see the image through it. We're going to do the same thing as before, but you can kind of see that image popping through there. So I'm going to take my die, stick it on top. That now that the adhesive is on there, I'm going to now die cut the whole thing out to get the circle. So I can run it through my Big Shot, and we've got our nice adhesive, decorative little centerpiece. So we're kind of taking the elements from the pack and making that the kind of star of the card. Now the other one, we're going to do the exact same. It's so easy. You're just going to line it up on all the edges and peel back just a small portion, and then again peel it and rub it along as you pull it off, and then we have the exact same effect but two different ways. So you can either put the adhesive on first, die cut out your element, or if you've got a die the same size as your element, then you could just die cut out the adhesive and apply it on top. If not, then you can make it work for you. Again, doing the same thing, I'm going to then apply the glitter. So here's the paper pad. I just thought I wanted to share with you. If you've got a paper pad and you just think, I don't have one of those cool ones that's got, you know, all those detailed flowers, I bet you've got a paper pack like this where you've got bold patterns somewhere in it. You can take your circle die and you can cut out those flowers. So all you need to do is do one of the two steps that I just shared with you, and you can do the same thing and get that kind of beautiful central element on your card. So I've kind of sped through a whole bunch of stuff now. These are the squares that I shared with you where you had to cut the little sides off. All I did was take those 4 squares, added the glitter on top, and made a set of note cards. Literally, that was it. And now we're going to go ahead and step it up again. We're going to make a little gift box out of these to give them to somebody. So I go ahead and measure the width generously, so with them slightly puffed up. So it's about 1 centimeter wide, but I'm adding on an extra 1/2 centimeter because of all the folds and creases. So what I'm going to do is take and cut my box. I'm going to make a box for it, sorry. I'm going to cut a square. That square is going to be the width of my card plus 1.5 centimeters for all the sides, because we worked out that it was 1.5 centimeters wide. And then we're going to add on an extra 0.5 centimeter to account for the fact that all those folds are going to be folded on this box. Then the top layer is going to be about 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters wider than that on all sides. Again, I'll do my best to put the measurements down below for you of what all these were. So all I'm doing is making a bottom for my box that is slightly smaller than the lid, so that the lid will fit over. So I have scored all the sides at 1.5 centimeters. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to snip just those opposite edges. I am really rubbish at describing anything 3D, which is why I usually don't do it. So I'm going to snip those 2 points on each side directly opposite each other so I can fold the edges in. I hope this is making sense. This is a very, very, very basic box, and that's all we need to make this gift box. And I'm using pearlescent card from Lime Tree Craft here for my card bases as well as for my box. Then what I like to do is just snip the tab, the smallest tab, the tiniest bit, and I do like a little triangle snip. So I go from the corner, a little bit inside the corner to the fold or the score mark, and that way you get these little triangle shapes. Here you go, you can see those little triangles. I'm just going to snip it, and then go on the other side and cut the same exact section on the opposite end, and then cut out little triangles. That just means it gives us a little bit of wiggle room to tuck that tab in. If you don't cut it, it doesn't matter, but it sometimes makes your folds kind of pop up a bit where it's got the score mark. I'm totally terrible at this. I'm absolutely terrible. I hope you're getting what I'm doing by watching my hands, because my mouth does not work so well. So I'm just folding those in. I'm using a really good strong liquid adhesive. You could use glue dots, you could use red tape, score tape, whatever you've got to hand that is nice and strong. My glue sticks really quick and really fast, so I just pinch it and then it dries pretty much almost instantly. It's really, really good glue. So again, all I'm doing is putting it on those tabs that fold in and just sticking it together. And I do the exact same on the top and the bottom. And they're both scored at 1.5 centimeters on all the sides. So my box fits nicely together. So you got the lid that will fit over top of the bottom. And I know there are more complex ways to do this and prettier ways, but this is just so quick and easy, and it took me about 10 minutes to do. It really didn't take long. The measuring was the most time consuming bit. So now my cards fit in there in like a nice little bundle. The lid is a little bit bigger than the bottom, but I don't mind that there's that kind of wiggle room to work with. I'd rather that than a nice snug fit. I've got some tulle here. It's a white tulle or clear tulle, so it's quite pretty and sparkly and fairly see-through. And I'm taking some twine and just doubling up my twine. And all I'm doing is kind of squidging it together so it's like almost like a rope. And then I'm wrapping it around my cards and putting a little bow on the front, and then I trim down the edges just to kind of have it be this little beautiful package, so when the recipient opens it up, they get this little gorgeous bundle on the inside. So now I've got that wiggle room because it's nice and wide that I can stick my little bowed gifts inside, and then I can go ahead and put the lid on and decorate the lid. I wanted to share with you another way to decorate if you don't have like a little paper bag like I did in my last video. You can just create a box from some scrap cardstock that you've got lying around, or an extra piece of cardstock. Now to make it match, I decided to wrap some tulle around it. And I'm just using my red line tape. This is a really super sticky tape. And then that way I can stick it over and then wrap the tulle around over the whole box. Again, I'm losing my words. I apologize. So now I've got that sticky adhesive on the front, but I'm going to go and take another one of these circles that I've cut and prepped off the screen. I'm going to take my punch. Now you don't need to do this. In retrospect, I thought actually I could have just stuck the tag on. I didn't need to punch a hole in it. But I kind of wanted to have, I had this vision of having a really cute little tag hanging off my box that said something along the lines of just for you or for you. So I decided to get out my eyelets and my crocodile, and I decided to put in a little eyelet into the top of that to make it nice and strong. These are some tag dies from Alina's shop on AliExpress, and you get the die and you get that little edge die, so I cut it out in purple glitter, and these have just sat on my desk for ages. And I'm going to come in with my sentiment stamp set. I absolutely love it. It's one of my new favorites. And I'm just going to stamp just for you on the edge there in my black VersaFine Onyx black ink. And it's all on the same pearlescent card. My little tags are in pearlescent card. My cards were made out of the pearlescent stuff. The box is made out of it. So it's nice and it all coordinates. Now I wanted that tag to kind of hang on there. So I just kind of did a bit of jiggery pokery and kind of tied a knot here and I tied a knot there. And then I worked out that that will work and decided to stick it all together. So I'm going to put it up on some foam stickers. And that way it covers up my adhesive and makes that tool look really pretty and consistent, is that the right word? Continual. So it goes around the box in a beautiful little wrapped way. And we've got our beautiful little gift to give away to someone that's got 4 cards in it. Now, in hindsight, I should have put some envelopes in there. So I'll probably need to open up that box somehow and stick some envelopes in because I just completely forgot about the envelopes, but I have got envelopes that would fit. Now here are some finished cards that I stepped up off screen. So in these cards, I did one that was a 6x6 inch card and one that was a 5x5 inch card. And I made those circles the star of the show. So I put them right in the middle. One I did with the with that twine again. I wrapped it around behind on the white or the pearlescent card. I also embossed the pearlescent card with a butterfly embossing folder that I had in my stash. And then on the other one, the larger one, I used the strips that came in that paper pad. Instead of wasting a whole sheet of the designer paper, I just used the strips that come in this little pack here, and I cut those up and I use that behind to accent on my card. So it's a great way to step it up is add an embossing folder, add some twine. I've got the thread behind that one as well, and then I popped it up on some dimensional stickers. This one here I kept a bit more simple and I added on some strips again from that strips section, and I cut some extra strips out of the coordinating cardstock that I had, and then of course I couldn't resist and I used some of that holographic card as well and just kind of popped it up. And I'll add a sentiment on here when I'm ready and when I know what I want to do with it, and I'll probably put some Nuvo drops. And then I've got these 2 left over and I'm not sure what I'll do with them yet, but they're ready to go on a card. So these are all my cards here. We've got our basic ones that are quite nice and simple. We've got the stepped up versions where we've added some more elements to kind of make it pop and stand out a bit more. And then we got our gift bundle. So I hope that gives you some inspiration and some ideas of what you can do with your designer paper pads again. A little glitter goes a long way, and some self-adhesive sheets can make that glitter just pop right off your card. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I will see you again in the middle of the week for another half an hour crafting video, or when you only have half an hour. And we'll see you then. Take care. Bye.